The biodiversity crisis, in my own words, is the extinction of species that leads to a lack of variety that interrupts ecosystem equilibrium. Although this is seen in many species and biomes, we're focusing on birds in the US and Canada. Population changes recorded for 529 bird species in North America, which is 76% of breeding species. The top image here shows biodiversity in an ecosystem and how a lack of diversity impacts all of the organisms in the photo. Birds that went extinct in 2023 are shown in the bottom image.
The factors that are causing biodiversity loss are habitat loss, climate change, and human-caused mortality. The significance of these factors show that habitat loss reduces ecological, economic, and evolutionary organisms. Climates with colder temperatures tend to see a larger net reduction because of climate change, and human-caused mortality such as unregulated harvests, which an example of that would be poaching, or accidents such as running over a bird.
Effects of biodiversity loss. Well, why is this bad for us? There's an effect on wildlife population and communities, such as disruptions in food webs, loss of biodiversity, which then leads to cascade effects on other species. There's also effects of ecosystem function, including seed dispersal, forest regeneration, pollination, and pest control. This also impacts humans with economic loss in agriculture, water and soil health impacts, and climate regulation.
The objectives of this study are what questions is the article trying to address and how did the researchers go about collecting their data. The questions that the article was trying to address were how have bird populations changed over time in North America, which bird groups are experiencing the most significant losses, what are the potential ecological and functional consequences of these declines, and what underlying environmental threats may be contributing to these losses. The second objective is how did they go about collecting their data. They use standardized bird monitoring surveys, population size estimations and trajectory analysis, and use weather radar NEXRAD analysis. And by combining these data sources, the study helped provide a reliable assessment of avian population declines over the past 5 decades.
The first key finding is patterns in net population change in North American birds. The figure to the right shows net loss of abundance that occurred across all major breeding biomes. All the lines, as you can tell, are going down, except for the dark blue one at the top, which is wetlands, which actually had a net increase. The common trend of the graph shows that the number of birds dwindled in all other environments besides wetlands.
Key finding number 2. Patterns in nocturnal bird migration across the United States that we noticed was that there was an overall decline in migratory bird biomass. Overall, a 13.6% decrease in nocturnal bird migration. The most pronounced declines were observed in the eastern U.S., where migration is dominated by songbirds, who breed in temperate forest. Some factors that affect these trends was that habitat loss and degradation, climate change, this includes rising temperatures, that alter precipitation patterns, affect migration timing, food availability, and habitat conditions. This led to declining insect populations. This negatively impacted bird survival during migration.
Key finding number 3. Patterns in change in abundance across North America over the past half-century. Declines across most biomes include grassland birds, which saw a 53% decline, totaling more than 700 million lost birds. In contrast, wetland birds, particularly waterfowl, showed an increase of 13%, likely due to targeted conservation efforts. Migratory birds are disproportionately affected. Birds that overwinter in coastal regions is 42%, arid lands is 42%, and South America is 40%, which suffered the greatest proportional losses. Certain bird families have suffered drastic losses. More than 90% of total population losses are concentrated in just 12 bird families, including sparrows, warblers, blackbirds, and finches.
Birds play a meaningful role, and without them, other species will experience the negative impact. Birds are easier to track and record, but this issue is relevant to all kinds of species across the globe. To protect birds, continuing to track migration and breeding patterns and rates, but also changes in society, including conservation action and implementing laws. Examples include preserving forests, recycling, waste management, and using clean and renewable energy. These general measures will not only help the birds, but other taxa as well.